Hello and welcome to Women's Biz Podcast. I'm Annie Gibbins, founder and CEO of Women's Biz Global, and I invite you to get comfortable and listen in on candid conversations I have with fascinating women from around the globe. Business leaders, entrepreneurs, humanitarians, athletes, and a whole lot of regular people. Tune in as they let their guard down and open up on aspects of their business and life journey, how they measure success, and what they have learned along the way. These conversations aim to inspire you to embrace opportunities and possibilities beyond the limits of your imagination. Reclaim your power, strength, and vulnerability. Stand in your truth and propel yourself towards the life you dream to live. Welcome to today's episode, everyone, our beautiful listeners. I'm just always honored to have you join us. And we have got a special guest today. Her name is Zorina Pritchett. She's an example of resilience, let me tell you, and innovation. We're going to be talking all things games, which is exciting. But Zorina's journey spans 30 years of military service. So honor to her and her fellow service men and women around the world for all that you do. And then following that career as a federal employee, she decided to dedicate it to aiding veterans. So this woman has a heart of gold. In July 2023, not that long ago, she ventured into entrepreneurship. So she's one of our newer entrepreneurs. She founded ZoChey, venture crafting engaging educational quick play games, cards for children, a perfect respite for all of those mums and dads and kids who are on the screens all the time, all of those digital distractions. So with a pending copyright for her third game now and forthcoming children's book, she's got a lot happening in her world. She's certainly showing that she's got no bounds and she's not sort of slowing down too much. In fact, it sounds like she's cranking up. So I'm looking forward to our conversation. She does this all around being a single mom and a caregiver. And oh my gosh, you're going to love this lady. Welcome to Women's Biz Podcast, Zorina.
Hi, Ann. I am so delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's a joy to have you on the program. I'd love for you just to tell the listeners a little bit, your journey started in the military and you were there for a very long time. So let's just start there on, who was Zorina before you decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to become a card game creator.
Oh, wow. The military, I'd like to tell your audience first, I entered the military at age 19, and how that came about really quickly. My husband at the time, we eloped and got married, and we had this plan that we were going to stay like we're dating and just have our parents pay for our education. But my Snoopy mom went into my room and found my license. So she said, so now that you're a woman, you need to have your own household. And so my husband at the time, we entered the military. So I didn't know anything about the military. All I know is I wanted to finish my education. But during my stay in the military before I got hurt, I grew up. I grew up really fast because of the environment of basic. And during that time of finishing basic and going on to my regular duty station, there are things that I learned in that very short period of time. One, courage. Have courage to face any adversity that you're going to face. But in that case, it's courage to face the enemy. Leadership, stand for what you believe in. Accountability, resilience, and teamwork. And so those same core values that I picked up in that short age of 19 is something that I'm taking with me and have been with me all my life. So when you think about game creator, I knew anything about game. My game came to me from a dream. I realized the impact from my granddaughter. So I say, you know what? I'm going to share this with the world because kids are distracted with the screen time. So that required me to have that courage to say at 60, I'm going to do this, right? And then the leadership, continue to try to advocate for this, knowing that it's like people like I might give you right now, but I still do it. And so when I look about the things that I'm going to do, the resilience and the teamwork that I'm working on, ZoChey is relevant for now. And it inspired me because just like I fought to want to defend America and what we stand for, our values, this is the same tenacity I feel about advocating for our children. They need digital balance. And so I want to be the voice of that.
Absolutely fantastic. Amazing journey. I love how you can just grow up so quickly. One way to do that is to get yourself into the military. Definitely, it's almost like a shock to the system if you weren't going to just get yourself together and become a leader almost instantly, or in a very short period of time. The military will do that. So thank you once again for your service, but also, wow, your mum. What a mum. Time to grow up, girl. And so then you had that journey. You got hurt in there somewhere. Would you love to share that with the listeners? What happened to you during that time?
Oh, you mean the time for is like what got me into being an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
I didn't hear the question.
You said
I've always
hurt.
Say that again.
That's all right. When you mentioned before that you got hurt, when you got hurt, so we'd love to share what happened there.
Oh, guys, you really want to hear this story? I'm going to tell you what happened. Another young lady and I was dumping the trash can. And back then they had those big metal trash cans, right? So we're doing KP duty and we were about to dump the trash can and she let her side slip. And so my hand got caught between the trash can and the dumpster. And so I got smashed and it worsened because in the military, you're really taught to be strong. If you get a little cold, a little snip, hey, hang in there, soldier. And so I went to sick call and they kept telling me there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, there's something wrong. And there was a young lady from the Netherlands. I woke up, I was in so much pain. And she said, you have gangrene. Well, they did emergency surgery on me, right? And when they did the surgery, we had something wrong with the base electricity. So they had to do it with the generator. But guess what? Don't never want this to happen to anyone. They didn't give me enough anesthesia. So I woke up in the middle of my surgery. And all I remember at that age was, you're a soldier. You can take this. We're almost done. What do you do at 19? You're in the military. You belong to Uncle Sam now. So you just take it like a troop. And ever since then, I've been afraid of surgery. I'm just being real. And of course, the injury was severe enough that it caused me to develop other disabilities like anxiety and depression because I was a single mom after the divorce. And I was afraid of losing my job. But again, those principles that I learned early at 19 helped me to build a career, to stay in the game and to protect my son and to provide him a good life, even though it meant sacrificing me. But then I learned that from the military. We all a big sacrifice in defending our country. So it came with ease for me, even at later in my life.
Incredible how these incidents just create an immediate, pain at the time, but a shift. It can be a shift that you sort of like, now I'm going to just have to deal. And it depends on the environment you're in. And so I thank you for sharing that, even though it's like so long ago now, but it has influenced, the woman that you are. It influenced the way you responded to that injury, right? That, in your environment, it's kind of like stuck it up, take it. Move on. Other people, it would be like, oh, okay, well, I just have to stop what I'm doing and completely change, So I always find it fascinating to see perspective is everything, right? It's amazing how it influences how you respond at the time and how you respond moving forward. And also how we as mums respond to, when you've got dependents and you've got a situation, it's kind of like, well, I can't just stop here. I'm going to have to find a way. So after this huge time, like 30 years. You then went, you know what, I'm going to become an entrepreneur, right? I'm going to found ZoChey. So I'm assuming that name comes from somewhere. I'm looking forward to you sharing that. And you want to be a purpose-driven entrepreneur. And I'm all about that. I love it. So many people on my program or in my coaching around the globe are what we call purpose-driven. It's like, I want to make a difference. I've seen things in my life. I've watched people's experiences, even if I haven't felt them myself, and people need something like that. So you had a desire and you had a massive shift. I'm assuming it's pretty freaky, pretty scary. You weren't an entrepreneur before. So what drove you to then, start that business to align with your personal mission and values? And then what have you learned in the process? It must have been a huge couple of years.
Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, I've always wanted to go into business. When I was much younger, I got selected as a plus size model. You know what that is? I call that big girl modeling. And at the time, I went through a bad divorce. So I got sidetracked. And I think that happens to us. Sometimes we have these incidents in our life that take us off our pathway of what we desired. And that happened to me not only once, but it happened to me twice. I was going to launch something that I wanted to do. But I got ill with my military. My anxiety flared up really bad. So I had to take self-care. So now after retiring from my job, I was like, okay, I'm young, 60 young. I can do this. And I feel like the solution that I want to solve is worthy today, because parents are so distracted in trying to earn a living. And since I'm already financially secure, not rich, ladies and gentlemen, but secure, I said, you know what? I can do the focus for them. I can motivate them to understand why they need digital balance. And how that aligns with my personal mission is the fact that I like helping people. It's just a core of who I am. And right now I feel like I'm advocating for our kids, because I saw my own granddaughter every time I went to the house, they're in the screen. Let's talk. Well, Gigi, let me finish looking at this. And so I realized that, you know what? I got to do something. So ZoChey evolved with that. And then the values of it is that we need to solve. If we can solve problems, let's solve. If we can make things better for someone else, let's do that. And it does come with a cost. I mean, how did I get the name ZoChey? I have to tell you, it's funny. I searched long and hard for that name. Z, my name is Zorina. As you can see, I got the Z-O part of it, right? I always used to struggle with people mispronouncing Zorina, Sabrina. Oh God, it's Zorina. So I wanted that Z part. It had to have that Z part in there. And then I lost my mother at the tender age of, she was 59. And so I wanted something in honor of her and having the C a part of it, because my mom's name was Siesta. And so I came up with ZoChey. And I love that name. I love it because it has meaning, not only because it tells me you are intertwined with this business, no matter how successful it is or not successful, you are intertwined in it because it is a part of you, and you're advocating and fighting for something that's worthy, the future, our children. And so my business, my passion, it all lines up because it is who I am as a person.
Oh, and that fuels the fire every day, because you're going to get those days that it is hard, it is challenging, things don't go right. You have the wonderful days that you celebrate, and to have your mom in that name, it's almost like a vision board, an affirmation. It's something you can look at every day and go, on that logo in this place is my mom.
Absolutely correct.
So special. I love that.
It also, Ed, it makes you think like mom's watching you. Did you do what you're supposed to do today?
This woman was tough. She'd send you off to the military whether you liked it or not. You better become that successful entrepreneur and make this happen. Oh, I absolutely love that journey. And I can imagine that that in a way it's sort of like, not pressure. It's like, I always love to have an accountability partner and a cheerleader, and you want to be both, right? It's like, you said you wanted to do that, do it. I'm here for you, right? And I think that name would do it all. So absolutely wonderful. I know that feeling as a grandma. I've got a couple of little granddaughters, and that's right. To be able to do something active, to be doing something positive, and get off digital screens, because that is their modern life, unfortunately, is so wonderful and commendable that you've then focused that on your products. So how are these games, if you like, how are they going to create that digital balance, that actual positive time that you can sit there and have, with kids and mums and dads and nanas and poppies and bits and pieces? How does that contribute to the balance? And why do you think it's so important? We all know it is important, but why do you think it's important?
I honestly think it's important because there are parents that are experiencing the negative impact of digital, too much screen time. And I saw it firsthand. Recently, my son contacted me. My youngest granddaughter grades were dropping. And she come to find out she was supposed to be sleeping. She's on her phone. And she told me recently, Gigi, I was on my phone so much I couldn't put it down. So they had a talk with her teacher, like most parents will do, and they took away her phone. And so her grades went back up. And so I'm thinking for parents who want that digital break, these kids are like microwaves to me. They want everything quick. Everything's quick and moving. So one thing about my game brand, Zomatic Shift, is designed for quick play. You can play multiple rounds within 10 minutes. It's a very quick matching and shifting games. And what I'm hoping that parents, when they want their children to take a break, play this quick game. But not only do I want you to play the game because it's fast and it's a chance style game, so your kids will feel that confidence. I beat you, mom and dad, right? But I also hope that it will encourage you check in with your kids, have that casual, fun conversation while you're talking smack. Hey, son, hey, daughter, how's school going? I'm about to beat you right now. That is the type of dialogue and family connection that I'm hoping. And so if I can encourage many families to take advantage of this opportunity that was inspired by the universe, which I call God, I think it's going to benefit us. And then also we need to keep in mind what happens when we no longer have the power grid. Something happens and those kids are used to that video and you're talking about, well, let's go play Monopoly over here and it's slow. They are going to drive you crazy. But if you play my game, because it's so fast, you can keep them engaged and connect. And I really want parents to rebuild that social interaction that many of them lost with COVID. I say this: if you're raising kids and it's okay for them to be on social media and screen time, how do you expect kids that are isolated to build communities in the future when they're only used to entertaining themselves with this object? It won't happen. It just won't happen. So it's up to us as parents and grandparents to be the gatekeepers. And so I signed up, like I said before, and I know that this product is a stepping stone to help parents to offer a mixture of games, traditional and those ones that are quick, get it in, get the fun, and move on to whatever you got to do.
Yeah. I love the highlighting the word quick, because that's exactly it. You know, if you suddenly say, no offense to Monopoly, but that's a good example. If you're going to say, let's play a game of Monopoly or Scrabble or something, you kind of instantly go, time. Your mind goes to time. And one, we should make more time for things. So definitely that's another discussion. But most of the time it's actually doing something quick, you know, like I'll even do that with my granddaughter. Let's go and run down and check the vegetable garden. You know, it's something, an activity that you can then do in a short period of time, get excited. But it's about doing the activity or gaming time, but it's also the chatting. I love that. When you're doing something fun like that, it's easier to throw in those little comments and conversations because it's more natural. It's less threatening. It's so much more threatening to be sitting at table and then, so how was your day? And then they have to kind of say something and it's a bit awkward and intense, particularly when they become teenagers. But when you're actually playing a game, it's kind of like you're in a moment, you're in a conversation. It's so much easier. So I totally love that.
And that's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah, that is what we need.
I may say something in. And may I add one more thing? I read an article recently where a mother said, "Oh, I let my kids have as much screen time as they want. I don't care." But then in the conversation article, she mentions that her kids play sports. They go to different social interactions. So I thought to myself, this is not the correct messaging, because does she not have balance? If she would have said they can have all the screen time and they have no friends, they just stay in their room or they stay in the corner of the couch and that's all they do. But when you have other activities that allow them to develop those social skills, that's balance. That is balance.
Yeah. So true. It's true for the kids. It's also a reminder for ourselves. You know, even we as if we're doing everything right. And I know in your situation, you're balancing caregiving, daily pain from military disabilities. Like, let's be honest, that's exhausting. And you got to look after yourself, running a business, you know, as well as all the other things that happen. You know, we actually need that balance as well. We as entrepreneurs can be spending time all on the business, on social and bits and pieces. So how do you maintain your balance while actually creating a game and doing a new business venture that can easily take all of your time and your energy?
Well, short story, I had no choice. When my brother had his stroke, I was so overwhelmed with trying to hold down my full-time job and get him back to health that I accidentally put my vitamins in my pocket with his medication. And I took a blood pressure medication that dropped my blood pressure so low that I really thought I was dying. I had to go to the hospital. And so it was a doctor that told me, "I know you're a caregiver and I know you love your brother dearly, but you got to have balance. You got to be very mindful of what you're doing, because this could have ended very tragically and your brother depended on you." So I always keep that in mind. Now, when I say balance, I'm not going to lie to your audience. Sometimes those balls drop and I'm like, "Oh, do I have to pick that one up?" But what I found is, in order to have balance, I have to take care of me, Annie. You have to take care of you, because when I'm not healthy and I'm not at peace with what's going on in my life, I can't show up for my brother. I can't show up for my business, and I can't even show up for the relationship that I'm in. So what I've learned to do is I write things down and I prioritize them. Now, does that list always work for me? Sometimes it doesn't, because there are things that happen throughout our day, our life, that we have to mitigate and make some changes. But the true balance is making sure you take care of you first, your needs, and then identify the needs of whether it's caregiving, like in my case, or your child, or your business. What are their needs, and prioritize them and work them accordingly. And also, I think balance is saying time out. I don't want to balance these things right now. I need time out. And it may not be that something's wrong with it. Your brain could just be overloaded. And it says, "My bandwidth has been reached. My bandwidth has been reached." And your body starts shutting down. And you're like, "I can't do this right now." And so that's how I achieve balance, being very mindful of me. And it's not selfish, you guys. It's not being selfish and putting you first. You know, because if you don't put yourself first and you fall apart, like I can say really quickly, if something happened to me, we know that my brother would more likely go on an institution, because there's no family member that stepped up and say, "Hey, I'll help you with him." And he and I have had that conversation that it's just you and me, bud. So help me out. And he has helped me out. And when I'm overwhelmed and I find myself snapping at him, I pull back. Or when I'm overwhelmed with the business, I pull back, because that tells me I'm not balanced. So when you're having mood swings or sleep disturbance or anxiety, or you feel yourself getting depressed, you're not balanced. Find out what's tipping your scale and get back in alignment and live a very happy life.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And often we think, oh, I'm in a stressful time. I've just got to push through. Whereas it actually is the opposite. It's pull back. I love the way you explain that, Zorina, because that's what you're going to have to learn from the military immediately, right? Your soldiers are actually doing it, for the country, but to do it for the country, you have to do it. You have to be your best self first. You actually have to go, I need to be my 100%. So I need to be the gift that's overflowing, right? I don't want to be half full, quarter full, because then that's what I give, so I think you explain that so beautifully that, so many of us get hung up on, I've just got to push through. It's just a hard time. I'm juggling all the balls. Gee, I hope I don't drop one. Oh my gosh, I've dropped a few. Hopefully no one will notice. I'll just pretend it's all fine. All this sort of crazy stuff, right? And we all do it. So there's no judgment there. 1,000,000 times. But, that's the reality. Whereas it's so important. It's a necessity to actually step back. And that's so true. It's like if you fall down, it's not like a few balls drop. If your brother then goes into care because of that, there's massive consequences, So is this how you measure? How do you measure your success? What sort of metrics and standards? Is it value? Is it time? Is it the joy? Is it the balance sheet of becoming a new entrepreneur? Is it all of it? How do you start measuring your success, particularly because you're
okay? You answered. I'm laughing because I know we have some small business owners and they probably like, when I think about metrics, measuring my success, I am all over the place. I'm still trying to zoom in on what I'm supposed to do because I took an accelerated course for veterans to help us veterans. And I'm going to be honest, I think I was really zealous about wanting to start a business, wanting to help children that maybe just a little bit, I didn't look at the whole picture and what it takes. But I realize I don't want to quit though, because I'm all in. But I am trying to find, how do I measure myself other than this? The advocacy. Every time I reach a parent and I'm able to conversate with them and tell them why it's important that they have digital balance. And I see in their face, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. That is a moment of success, especially if it brings action of change. That is what I really want. Are you going to be able to change? And then offer them tips on how they can change. Now, I will admit, when I go to Walmart, oh, I sold a game today. Yay! I'm excited about that. Or when some of my close friends call me and say, guess what? I'm really promoting your game. I got 2 friends that they're going to buy your game. I measure that they see the relevancy in what I'm trying to do. Also, I realize my measure of success is that I just recently got selected in this local small biz. Is a very private small business group. You're only invited. Someone has to invite you in this group. And so the founder was my mentor for marketing, because marketing is so hard. Oh my God, I'm all over the place with marketing. I can't even sleep half of the time thinking about marketing. So he volunteers with the veterans to help us, because many of us are disabled and we want to follow our dreams. And we are aware, Annie, that we have disabilities that's going to make us that's going to make it challenging. And maybe people may say, well, why are you doing this? You're disabled. You really shouldn't get in this space. No one, listen to me, no one should leave this earth and not pursue their dreams. So that way I can chip that off my life. Look, and the only thing that's left is to leave something to my son. That's the only thing on my list left that I haven't accomplished. And right now, I hope that one's delayed. But anyway, the founder of it was my mentor. And, when you mentor, you have to be vulnerable to them, right? And I was telling him all the things about my struggles. And after we had several sessions, I was surprised. He invited me to the group. And I thought, I must have said something wrong. I was like, really? So, but then that was another successful moment that this person saw value in me. He saw potential and he's wanting to work with me so that I can develop the business acumen that I need and know how to mitigate the ups and downs. Because what happened recently, I wanted to go to the daycares and pitch my game. I stopped at one of the daycares. And ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't go in. I could not go in. That courage from the military didn't help me then. I just could not go in there. So I drove off and I wrote a little piece in my LinkedIn about it because I love about being transparent. And I think we learn things from our vulnerability. And so what that taught me is you're not ready because you haven't solidified your pitch. Because when you know your purpose and you know why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to show up. And so I've been really trying to work on that really defined pitch that will move the strings of business people who service children because they have contact with parents. And so when I'm able to do that, which I know I'm going to get there, that is one of my metrics of success too. Besides the other things we're supposed to measure in business. But these are personal growth. These right here are personal growth for me. And my last thing I want to tell your audience is, do not be afraid of being vulnerable, because being in business reminds me of when you're dating. You remember when you're dating, you get all cleaned up, you're smelling good, you got the great conversation lined up, and you're looking at that person wondering, are they going to like me? Am I looking good? That's how I feel with business. Am I saying the right thing? Are they getting my product? Do they realize my product is one of the best things that's going to happen for them? And yet you're still finding yourself trying to assess that. And so I like it. And I don't like it, but I like it because it's telling me how resilient that I am, that I'm very committed in staying in this arena to find my pathway to success. And so I think that's very important. Embrace your vulnerability. Doesn't mean you have to tell everybody everything about you, but embrace it and see what you can learn from your vulnerability experience. And you may be surprised that it gives you a chance to grow and expand yourself. And that's how I'm measuring another form of my metric of success for ZoChey is how much am I expanding and growing into my entrepreneurship right now.
I love the blend of it's personal and professional. You know, these are massive shifts that, you know, we can do the business plan and the metrics and the bits and pieces. And yes, you want to sell 1 million games, you want to make a lot of money, you want to make your life easier. Of course, you've gone into business, you want that outcome and you need to be measuring that. I love what you've shared there about the necessity to be vulnerable. And you've been vulnerable even sharing that. You know, it's what you learn. It's when you have those moments and you go, right, I'm going to do it. And then you go, oh, I'm not ready, you know. And I actually thank you for saying, I wasn't ready to go into that daycare, because it's about saying, you need that clarity of your pitch. You need to know why you're in business. Not only do you need to be at a level that you can tell them what you have and why it would be beneficial, you've actually got to be at that level that focuses on, I couldn't drive by and not tell you today because I know this is going to be interesting for you. I know this is going to be at value, because you just, you know, that's when you know you've done a real shift. It's like, how could I not use this opportunity to share it rather than suck it up, you know? So we're all on a journey. And I love that. I love it when I've had people who've been entrepreneurs for, 20 years or something, and then people who are earlier entrepreneurs, because we're all on that journey and we're all learning that. And it is essential that we have those moments, because now you're going, I don't want to have that daycare moment. I want to make sure that I show up, or if someone asks me at a barbecue or something or other, I can say, yes, this is ZoChey. This is why I do it. And this is why all the families are loving it. The kids are loving it. Hey, do you got kids? They're going to love this. You know, you're going to immediately be more confident. So there's a confidence link when you have the clarity. And that's what you're definitely, on a journey getting. I love what you mentioned there about your mentor too, and how cool and how honored do you feel when your mentor asks you to something. It's like, what?
I do.
You know, But the great thing is with mentors is they see your value at that stage. You didn't see your value. We all have value. It's not like we don't have value. We have it in spades. We are growing it constantly. But when a mentor actually sits there, looks over and goes, I see you. I see you're now at this next step. Because that mentor, if you don't have a mentor, everyone, you should have a mentor. Come and talk to me. I love the value of a mentor, at all stages of your life, but you've got someone who's ahead of you on the journey. So they're seeing those little steps that you're going through because they know them. They had those daycare moments themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're over there going, oh, you're at that stage, which is difficult, but I know how to see your worth, honor your worth by giving you an opportunity to go, hey, here's the next level up. And I want you, I want to partner with you in that. That is such joy, and so those moments, I'm sure you'll agree with me, actually make you climb that mountain really fast because you suddenly, keep chipping away at yourself. You learn everything eventually, but when you actually, it's almost like, those pictures on those, when that person's climbing a mountain and they put their hand back and pull you up, it's kind of like, yes, thank you for that. Thank you for seeing me. I
also think, Annie, is the accountability too, the accountability of a mentor, because I have issues with staying focused, and now I have someone that I have to be accountable for when it comes to my business, and I'm very grateful for that accountability as well, because sometimes time management, we need that time management from juggling, taking care of my brother. I swim in the morning and meeting his needs and then meeting the needs of the business. It's so easy for me to say, I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. But having a mentor is going to hold me accountable and say, you're going to need to effectively manage your time so you can always find yourself moving forward in all three of those spaces. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. We could talk all day. I've just looked at the time and our listeners, wow, you've got value today. We're having a fantastic conversation. I could definitely talk to Zorina all day. If you're interested, if your kids, grandkids are on screens and you're like going, yep, they are. And you know what? They're not going to hand that phone easily to you. They're going to protect it because they're addicted to it. They're going to love it, but they can have little mini breaks, right? And so encouraging those mini breaks by something like what Zorina has created, definitely, take that opportunity to think, what, that would be a good idea. I'd love to explore what Zorina's got to offer and ZoChey as a business. Absolutely have loved you being on the program today. Everyone watching, whether you're on our audio streaming platforms, you might be on YouTube, LinkedIn Live, wherever you're watching or listening to Women's Biz Podcast, drop us a comment, drop us a question, ask us where to get it, all those sorts of things. Be engaged in the conversation. And first of all, I'd love to thank you finally for being on the program today, Zorina.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Annie.
It's been such a joy.
Really wonderful.
And to all of our listeners, I look forward to chatting to you again next week with our next special guest. But today it's been fun just talking games. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Women's Biz Podcast. I'm Annie Gibbins, founder and CEO of Women's Biz Global. And if you would like to fast track your future success, pop on over to womensbizglobal.com, where you can find out how our coaching, media and publishing opportunities are helping women just like you to become and be seen as the trusted authorities in their niche. Inquire today and start reining in the abundance you desire.